Hey, it's Brad with GeorgiaProbateResource.com. We're a real estate solutions company in Metro Atlanta, buying houses all over the state of Georgia, and we specialize in the niche of probate and inheritance properties. That's all we buy. So this is another video in our series about probate stories. So this video, I want to talk about a deal that we did, I think it was 2 years ago. And we had been reached out to by a woman who had a property. It was down by the airport, down south of Atlanta, by the airport, and she actually lived up this way, north of Atlanta, and so it was about a 45-minute drive from her current house to this particular property. So she called us. She had gotten a letter in the mail from us, and she said, "Look, I'm ready to sell the house." And what we later found out was she wasn't quite ready yet, but in her mind, she was trying to take that step. And we always recognize that this is a process for people. It's very emotional, and that, she needed to take this next step, right? So I actually personally went out to the property and met with her. So I drove down there, met with her, and we sat and we talked for quite a while. And I learned about her, and she told me about, her story, and she had grown up in this house. Her parents had put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this house, and it showed. There's a big addition on the back of the house, and there was some upgrades that had been done and that sort of thing. And obviously the finishes were a little dated because of, her parents had done these upgrades many, many years ago, but you could still tell they put money and they took pride in this house, right? And this entire neighborhood was just, once upon a time, was a really good neighborhood, and just lots of families in this neighborhood. And she told me about how she grew up on the street, and so lived here, and I did this and that, and she had a brother, and me and my brother would go play back here, and we would do all these things. And I just sat and listened, because honestly, I like listening, and I like talking to people, and I like hearing the stories. It's interesting to me, and I like it, right? I'm not just there to do a transaction and, buy the house and send the money. Like, it's more than that. So she's telling me about this house, and obviously the house had fallen into disrepair, since her dad had passed away. It, it he was the one doing all the maintenance on it, and it had fallen into disrepair. It had probably been, I think it was like 8 or 10 years since her dad passed away, but her mom had just passed away within the last couple years. So mind you, this is like 2 years after her mom passed away. She's already finished with sort of the probate process, and she'd actually already deeded the house over to her into her own name from the estate. So she was kind of far down the probate world, but she still hadn't gotten rid of the house. The house was totally empty. There was like maybe 2 pieces of furniture in the house. So over the last 2 years, she had emptied this house out. And she told me that actually her brother, after her mom passed away, her brother lived in the house, because her brother moved into the house while her mom was sick, and her brother took care of her mom because she was 45 minutes away. So she still came to visit her mom quite frequently, multiple times a week, but she had to work, and she had a job, and she lived, 45 minutes north, and it was, if you know Atlanta, Atlanta traffic, right? It can take a while to get from the north side of Atlanta down to the south side of Atlanta. So, her brother decided to move in with her mom and take care of her mom. So her brother took care of her mom until the day that she passed, and then turns out her brother tragically passed away after her mother passed away. It was about a year later. So her brother continued to live in the house, was going to find another place, whatever, because I think he had sold his other house and moved in with the mom, and was taking care of her. And then he tragically passed away. I think she said he had a stroke. I want to say it was a stroke or something, and actually passed away. So now this woman I was talking to had no family left. She had her brother and her mom and dad. So now her dad is gone. Passed away 8 to 10 years ago, and now her mom is gone, and her brother is now gone. So she has no more immediate family. And this was like, basically, this house that she had was sort of the last piece of her family, and the memories she had of her family. And, it was really hard for her to sell this house and get rid of it. And she knew, I went out there and looked at it, and she was asking me. She said, can I get your opinion? I've been thinking about listing this house with a realtor, or maybe I was thinking about selling it to an investor. I said, well, I can help you either way, right? I'm a realtor. I could list it for you, or I can buy it for a fast cash offer. But let me tell you something here. This house was in enough disrepair that if you're going to list it on the market for sale, pretty much your only buyers are going to be investors. So what's going to happen is these and other investors are pretty much going to offer you the same offer that I'm going to offer you, because the house is worth what it's worth. We call it the ARV, the after repaired value, what it would be worth if you fixed it all up and relisted it is pretty much the same. The market dictates that, the comps dictate the ARV is what we call it in this industry. So I said the ARV is the ARV, and I told her I'm totally transparent with everyone. I said this house would be worth between X and X if it's all fixed up, depending on how nice of a rehab that she did, right? And I run the comparables in that immediate neighborhood, and I look at stuff around there, and I find similar houses that have been fixed up, and I say this is what it would be worth, and then I'd say this is what it's going to take to get to that point. So I said it's going to take, in this case, I think it was $85,000 is what I came up with on the rehab. I said, so it's going to take $85,000 to get it to that point, and I can sell it for this price. So my offer is going to be X. So I came, the way I arrive at my offer, right? I sell it for this. It's going to cost me X amount to hold it and sell it and do all the selling costs. It's going to cost me X amount to renovate the house, and then I need a little bit of profit in there to make it worth my time. I'm not a charity. I do this business to make a profit. Despite what you might see on TV, we really don't make these big, massive, huge profits, right? Our business is about the number of deals we do, not the big hitting home. I don't try to hit a home run or a grand slam on every single deal. I'm just hitting base hits every single time. And over the course of a year, if I hit 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 base hits, then I'm doing pretty good. But some people think, oh, well, you do 1 or 2 big flips a year and you make these big checks. But the reality is that's actually not how it works. So anyways, let's get back to the story here. So I told her, it's going to take X amount of work. It's going to get there. So here's my offer. And she's like, oh, wow, that was a little bit lower than I was expecting. I really wanted this number. But we were only like $15,000 off on price. So in the big scheme of things with this price point of this house, we weren't that far off on price. But I said, look, if I list this house for you on the market, the other investors are more than likely going to come in right around what I offered you. And then you're going to have to pay me a commission to list the house for you. So you're actually going to end up making less money at the end of the day than if you just took my cash offer over here and I bought the house from you. Because again, the other investors, the ARV is the ARV. And now another investor might come up with a $80,000 rehab, and maybe we're a little bit off on a rehab, because you could ask 5 different contractors how much it's going to cost to renovate a house, and you're going to get 5 different answers. That's just the reality of the business. But what I told her is, I said, it's going to take X amount. We're not that far off on price. So, here's what I can do. And why don't you sleep on it a little bit? And so we left for the day, and we stayed in contact with her. And this turned into basically conversations over the course of, I think it was like 4 more months. No, it was actually longer than that. It was like 6 months. And I had Missy on my team. Missy's a fantastic person. If you call into our office, you're probably going to talk to Missy. She, honestly, she could be like a counselor. She's just great with people. She's nice to talk to. She's got the sweet Southern voice on the phone. She listens to you. She understands your problems. She's been through a lot in her life, so she can relate to a lot of what people are telling her. So she's great, and that's why I hired her, because of her personality and who she is on the phone and how she is with sellers, and that's why she works for me, and that's why she does what she does, because she's good at that, and that she's the right person for that job. So Missy spoke with this woman for months. We checked in with her every week. How you doing? Can we bring you anything? Because she's actually right down the road from our office. She's probably 20 minutes away. She lives like maybe 20 minutes from our office. We're up on the north side of town, right? And we continue to stay in touch with her. And I mean, if I could look at the call log on the number of hours that Missy spent on the phone with this woman, I mean, each of their phone conversations lasted at least an hour. And they would just call and talk about everything, right? And it's okay. We're okay chatting for hours because we like the stories and we like talking to people because at the end of the day, on the other end of this transaction, everyone is just, we're all just people and we all have stories and we all have issues. And the more we can talk to one another and discuss these things, the better things are. So we spoke with her for a long time. And over the course of 6 months, this was a couple years ago, so the market was, kind of rapidly improving. A few other houses in the area sold for a little bit higher. So I came back to her and I said, hey, look, I can give you a little bit more for that house than I initially offered you because the market's improved a little bit. And I made her an offer, and we were literally about $5,000 off on price. And I said we're real close, and she was like, yeah, I just don't want to. I just can't sell it for that. I just can't sell it for that. And Missy got on the phone with her, and Missy said, so and so, is it really about the price, or are you just having a tough time letting go of this house because this house has so many memories to you? And the lady said, and she started crying. She's like, yeah, because I listen to all these conversations. So all our conversations are recorded. I listen to them, and I like listening to them even if I'm not the one having the conversation. So I'm listening to this call, and the woman starts crying, and obviously in all of our other conversations there was lots of tears in this, and she says, you know, um, you're right, and Missy says to her, and this is, I mean, it's absolutely true. She said, the memories are not in the house. The memories are here and here, right? They're in your head and in your heart, right? And when you sell the house, you still have the memories in your head and your heart, right? They're still, the memories are in you and they're never going to leave you. So even if you sell the house is just a structure. It's just a thing. The house is not the memories. The house is something that triggers memories, but all your memories and everything you remember about your brother and your mom and your dad and growing up and all these things are right in here. They're in you, and you're never gonna lose that. And I kind of cried I'm kind of like tearing up a little bit now when I'm saying this, but like that's absolutely true. So I wanted to share the story because sometimes people get attached to the house. And at the end of the day, the house is just a thing. It's just a structure. And yeah, you've got a lot of great memories, but all the house is just a trigger to your brain to remember the things. So once the house is gone, you still have the memories. Everything is still here in you. And the happy times are in you. And you need to remember that the happy times are you, not the house. The house made happy times, but sometimes it's time to let the house go to another family to make other memories. And that's exactly what happened. So on this particular house, because it was south of Atlanta, I partnered up with a friend of mine who actually is in that specific town. His office is right around the corner. I said, hey, let's do this project together. So we worked out a deal on the house, and him and his partner did manage all the rehab and stuff because they're right around the corner. We just sort of did a profit share on the deal, and ultimately we ended up selling the house before we were ever ready to sell it. They had actually a friend of theirs um, who wanted to buy it, saw it, wanted to buy it, and it was a friend that had kids and everything, and they wanted to be in this neighborhood. At this point, the neighborhood was starting to turn. People were rehabbing houses. It'd gone downhill for a number of years, but now it was starting to sort of come back the other direction, which is very much the case with a lot of neighborhoods in Atlanta. Like in the city, some got pretty blighted, and then they've sort of turned around and they're coming the other way. So in this case, literally, it was a sale that happened before it ever even went on the market. So now there is a family with their children, and they're going to raise their children in this house, and they're going to create memories in this house. And that's what we like to see, right? I like to hear about the memories. And in fact, there's some houses that I've sold to people that I still try to stay in touch with them, and I ask them about the house and how everything's going, because the houses have stories, right? And so I hope this video like kind of helps somebody. I'm gonna keep doing these stories because there's a lot of great stories around a lot of the deals we do. And I know this video is very, very long. I'm approaching like 15 minutes now on this video, but I think it's important to hear the stories and hear, you know, all the real life situations that we deal with. So I appreciate you watching this video. Again, I'm Brad with GeorgiaProbateResource.com. We are a real estate solutions company in Metro Atlanta, buying houses specifically focused in the probate inheritance world. We'll buy your house for cash, or I am a licensed real estate agent with One Source Realty in Woodstock, and I can list the house for you the traditional way. So we're here to solve your problems. So I really hope this video helps, and thanks again for checking out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.